Welcome to Mac Stories Unwind, the show that's all about the picks. I'm John Voorhees, and I'm also here with Federico Viticci. Federico, what's up?
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I've spent some time off. We took last week off because I was traveling. I was touring the South, Federico, after our conversation for Club Mac Stories members all about Southern cooking. I thought, you know what? It's time to really dig into this subject and go to Georgia and Florida and South Carolina. And I did a little tour for about 5 days.
Nice.
It was nice. I had lots of good food and lots of time on the beach and seeing some old historic cities. It was a lot of fun.
Is that when you sent us a picture a screenshot of your iPhone that had no signal, but it said SOS in the status bar?
Yes, that was on the way home. Actually, on the way home, since we finished the trip in St. Augustine, Florida, visiting some family, we had to drive all the way back in one shot, which is about 7.5 hours or so. And so we thought we'd stop partway there on the way back, about halfway, in a town called Beaufort, South Carolina, which is a town right on the water on the Atlantic Ocean. And there are a bunch of islands around there. And so we found a sandwich shop that we wanted to try out. And we drove out onto this island, which didn't have a lot of houses on it or anything other than this place to eat. And when I went into the restaurant, I pulled out my phone and I had SOS was my
Amazing.
signal. Yes, when I went back out to the car, I did finally get 1 bar of LTE. It's not, it's a pretty remote place that we stopped, but it was a nice way to kind of break up the trip.
Very nice. Okay.
We've got picks. We got picks for this week. We're back and we've got picks. And one of the things that I did while I was away is I played some games. And because I was on my phone, this was a trip that was meant to be a travel light trip. So I brought my play date, but I also brought my iPhone, of course. And with that, I brought one of my favorite tech accessories, which is the Backbone One controller, and this is my pick for this week, is the Backbone One. The Backbone One has been on my mind because not that long ago, the folks at Backbone have teamed up with Sony to create a Sony PlayStation specific version of this.
I have one of those.
Do you have it in your hands yet?
Not here with me, but yes, I played with it a couple of days ago. I got it a few days ago. Didn't I send you a picture?
No, you didn't. You got yours fast.
I did.
No, did you really? All right. I was on vacation, Federico. I maybe wasn't looking as closely at your text, but
I didn't send you. I didn't. I
See?
think, but I posted a picture in the Club Mac Stories Discord.
Okay, I'm a little behind on the Discord, having been gone, but I ordered one too. I didn't order it as quickly as you, obviously, because you got yours first. Mine's actually somewhere in North Carolina now, and it's going to get, I think, delivered today as we record this. We'll have to see. But in any event, it's really not any different than the regular Backbone One, which I've already had. It's just that it's white and it has the Sony PlayStation buttons on it. Those are the main differences, right?
Yeah, it's basically what it does. It's got the PlayStation buttons, which is nice because if you play a ton of PlayStation games with remote play, now the buttons match and there's no confusion. And you're looking at the button and the physical button has the same glyph as the button shown on screen.
Right, exactly. But they haven't moved the thumbsticks and things. They're still kind of in more of an Xbox configuration, I guess is what you would call that. But I guess I'm getting a little deep in the weeds here because I ordered that. I'm looking forward to it. There wasn't really a good reason for me to order it other than I thought it looked pretty cool and I like how it matches the PlayStation. But it is one of the reasons that I use this thing. One is for remote play. I will play games on the PlayStation 5 in bed or on the Xbox Series X in bed using remote play. It's a great way to do it. It works well with Xbox cloud gaming too. If you've got a good strong signal, you need to have that for remote play or for cloud gaming. But if you have a good signal, you can play those games right there on your iPhone. And the benefit of playing games on the iPhone as opposed to something like the Steam Deck, which I know you're a big fan of, and I eventually expect to have one myself, the Steam Deck doesn't have the best screen. That's one of the compromises, right? I mean, it's a good screen, but it's not an OLED iPhone screen. It's not to that caliber. And so what I like about playing games on my iPhone is the screen is often the very best screen I've got with me. And it's so incredibly portable, much more portable than something like a Steam Deck, which is big, heavy, and has a huge case for carrying it around, right? So I'm not here to tell you that the Backbone One is superior to the Steam Deck. I just am here to tell you that a lot of times having the portability of an iPhone and the screen of an iPhone makes it the best way to play a game. And that can be through remote play, that can be through cloud gaming, or it can be games that just are available on the App Store, which is another thing that I've been doing. You know, the Ace Attorney games recently came out on the iPhone, and I bought those and have been playing those. They're a lot of fun on here. I guess that's a bad example because they don't support controllers and I can't use the Backbone One with it. But I've been playing the Dadish series of games, which are platformers that are.
You do like those games.
I do like them. Dadish 3. This is about a dad who's a radish, and he has to go chase around his radish children, of course, right? This is one of those things. The radish children have escaped from the dad who's watching them, and he has to go find them. And so the whole thing is you're going from level to level, looking for these little radish kids, and in the meantime, avoiding enemies and obstacles and solving puzzles. Very traditional platformer that really does a great job with a great soundtrack, great art, and clever puzzles. So there's 3 of them in the series. The third one came out not that long ago. I covered it for the club. And when I did, I realized I had never played the first one, and I'd only kind of seen the second one. So I bought all 3 of them, and I've been playing them little by little throughout the course of the year. But there's also games like some of the games that I've been playing recently are Streets of Rage 4, which has been on a bunch of platforms, but only recently came to iOS about, I don't know, a month or 2 ago. Even the Alien Isolation game, that's a game from, I don't know how long ago, maybe 5-7 years, maybe. Yeah. Great horror game that was adapted for the iPhone. And it does a really good job. The iPhone is powerful enough to run that, what was a AAA game at the time. And it works really well because it's a dark, creepy game that with the OLED screen really shines on the iPhone. And then I've got Chrono Trigger on here and Dead Cells, a couple of other great games to play. And the thing about the Backbone One is it's coupled with software. There's a Backbone app. And it does something, we've talked about this before on App Stories and maybe here. It basically catalogs your game. If you're in a game and you press the Backbone button, it adds it to a catalog in the app of the games you're playing, which allows you, once you stop playing, to go back into the Backbone One app, tap on that game, and pick up where you left off, basically. It's really nice. Plus, it provides kind of a catalog of other games that you can play, both things that are available on the App Store, whether you have to, and you can download them from there, or it often promotes the cloud gaming and remote play and things like that I talked about. So overall, it's a fantastic experience for gaming on iOS. And I think so many of these games, if you have the opportunity to use a controller with them, you really should, because touch controls for things like thumbsticks just are not that good. It's possible, and some games are designed to have kind of very forgiving controls. But if you have any game that requires any precision at all, like Dadish, which is a platformer, and you got to get from one place to the other and avoid enemies, it really pays to have a good controller. And the Backbone is my favorite.
What's the experience been like for you with remote play for the PlayStation?
It's been pretty good. I have been playing, on a really fast home network. It's not 6 or 6E. I guess I've got an Orbi system with 5, and it's been good enough. It will glitch a little bit here and there, but if you're not playing a first-person shooter, it's okay for that kind of thing. I was playing Tomb Raider a lot in that mode, for instance, and it was perfectly fine for that game. Every now and then, maybe the screen would stutter a little bit, or the audio would drop out. But for the most part, it's been quite good. And I find that screen really works well in games that are kind of atmospheric and dark, which there's a lot of scenes like that in Tomb Raider, as well as some of these games that are on the iPhone that I just mentioned. I would say that the one thing that I find really annoying about the Backbone One is that when the iPhone 13 came out,
Yeah,
the camera bump required them to create an adapter that now comes in the box when you
yeah, it
buy one of
does.
these. But the thing is that it shouldn't have an adapter. They should redesign these things so that they work with the current iPhone and hopefully future ones. Because now, of course, here I am buying the Sony version here in
Mhm.
August, and we're like a month away from a new iPhone. For all I know, we're going to need another adapter to make the Backbone One work. And I don't know what the solution to that is, but the problem with this adapter is that it's kind of loose. It's very easy to have it fall off the Backbone One, and it's not a big piece of plastic. It's the sort of thing that could easily get lost, especially if you're carrying it around outside your home. And I've taken to attaching mine to the Backbone One with a rubber band so that it doesn't fall off. And then when I play, I of course take the rubber band off because it wouldn't fit the phone otherwise. But yeah, that's a pretty inelegant solution to what is otherwise a really nice piece of hardware.
Yeah, it's a very nice piece of hardware. I think you cannot possibly go on and just keep making the attachments for future iPhones forever. So maybe the problem is more like at a very basic design level. How do you make sure that this type of clip attachment can work regardless of how thick or taller or iPhones
Right.
get, or how different the camera bump gets from the previous model? Like, is there a way to make sure that maybe this becomes a universal attachment instead of having to change clip after clip after like if you have an existing backbone and the iPhone 14 Pro comes out and it's got it seems like it's gonna have a huge camera bump, like
Mm-hmm.
then what are we getting, like another backbone clip compatibility module in the mail? Like, is that what we need to do? I wonder if maybe like they need to rethink the design a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe. And, I think it's time for them to do that only because this is not like a brand new product. It's been around for a while now. And so I think it came out in the iPhone 12 era, I believe. So it's been a couple of years, and it's been successful at least it looks as though it's been successful. I see it advertised a lot of places, and I know a lot of people that have them. I'd love to see them find a way to make this so you buy your Backbone One and you don't have to buy it again.
All right, well, thank you for the gaming update,
All
John.
right.
So my pick for you this week is a music pick. It's an album that I've been really enjoying. It's the latest album by Paolo Nutini, the Scottish singer-songwriter, and the album is called Last Night in the Bittersweet. Now, Last Night in the Bittersweet is the fourth album by Paolo Nutini. I've known Paolo Nutini since his debut in 2006, I believe. The album was called In the Streets, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken. And let me double check. Actually, was it called in the streets? Yeah, I think it was called These Streets. I'm sorry.
Okay.
These Streets had the amazing song "New Shoes." That's you probably heard of it somewhere.
Yes, that's probably
Yeah,
the one that most people know. Yes.
yeah. And also it was followed up by "Sunny Side Up" in 2009 and "Caustic Love" in 2014. And Caustic Love, really an incredible record. Because on this album, on his third album, you have the incredible song that is Iron Sky. And Iron Sky is such an incredible track. It features voiceover by Charlie Chaplin at some point. But there's also like Let Me Down Easy, another incredible song. Yeah, I really loved Caustic Love. And the thing about Paolo Nutini is that he takes his time in between albums. Very much old school artist. Doesn't care about putting out singles and doing, featuring collaborations with others. Doesn't do remixes. Doesn't do any of that. It's been 8 years since his previous album, and now he's back with another one. And in this record, in Last Night in the Bittersweet, what I appreciate is that I feel like Nutini is stretching his creative muscles more than ever. And you have this mix of genres, and it's really, Nutini has an incredible voice, an incredible, it's so unique and different from anything else. And in this album, I feel like you can hear all the different shades and all the different traits of Nutini's voice. It doesn't sound like he wants to just be recognized for playing a specific genre of folksy, songwriter pop music. But really, you have tracks where it tends more toward rock music. You have the acoustic ballad. You have the electronic influences. I really like the variety in this record. I also appreciate that he's been extremely honest about after he finished the tour for Caustic Love in 2017, he was just feeling burned out and he needed to pause. And he basically said in interviews like, when I finished the tour in 2017, I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do. So I believe he moved back to his hometown, and he spent the pandemic and the lockdown with his parents, with his family, and eventually he started writing again. Like the music came back to find him, right? And that's so raw and honest to hear from an artist these days. Like there's no record label pushing you to do things. It's like,
Right.
just like I'm waiting for what I do to come back to me. And this is so common in artists these days, especially the folks who do world tours, and they just they do hundreds of performances, and then you just start feeling burned out.
Yeah, I was going to say that you hear this a lot when it comes to touring, that it really sucks the energy out of a lot of people.
Yeah. And the title of the album, the Last Night in the Bittersweet, he said in this interview, and I'm quoting here, "There was a long period of my life that could have been defined as bittersweet. The juxtaposition between the ups and downs was really quick. It wasn't in terms of my career, but just emotionally." So it's a very emotional record. And there's a couple of tracks that I absolutely am in love with. Acid Eyes is a fantastic song. That's number 4 on the record. I really like it. Afterneath, it's the opening track, and it features a monologue from the Quentin Tarantino movie True Romance, I want to say, from 1993, I think. Yeah. There's a right there in the middle of the song, but the song that I'm obsessed with at the moment is a classic pop rock ballad, and it's called Everywhere. That's an incredible song because so it's a love song, but it's got that crescendo to it that starts, it kind of feels like an acoustic ballad, and then more and more layers of the instruments come in, and at the end it's this beautiful love song about basically says I really like how he says, "I love you like a song." That's such a romantic thing to say to someone else, like, "I love you like a song." And basically it closes out with this chorus of sometimes it feels like you're everywhere, and it's like I can hear people singing this song in at a stadium at a huge concert. Like, it's perfect for that. It's got that kind of momentum and that kind of energy. Production is top notch. I believe he wrote all of the songs, produced all of them or most of them. It's a 16-track album, so it's on the medium to long side of records these days, but it doesn't feel like a long album. Like, it's not the sometimes we see those 22, 23 track records these days that are so clearly designed to sort of play the algorithm game on Spotify and streaming services. This is not that type of record, obviously. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with Paolo Nutini, which, by the way, the name is of Italian origins. It's born and raised in Scotland, but his father, I believe, is from Tuscany.
Okay. I was going to say, when I heard, I didn't realize he was Scottish, and I was very surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Scottish, but his dad is from Italian origin. And start maybe with Caustic Love from 2014. You can check out his debut album, The Streets. I mean, you've probably heard New Shoes
a million times
in commercials and soundtracks and that kind of stuff. But maybe if you're not familiar with his work, start with Caustic Love and then try Last Night in the Bittersweet. It's one of my favorite records this summer for sure, and I'm listening to it, and I cannot wait to be done with rebuilding my audio setup and my new desk so that I can listen to this record with my good headphones and my proper amplifier. But and on this album, Acid Eyes, Afterneath, Radio, also a good song, and Everywhere are my favorites so far.
Excellent. I'll have to check that out. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. Federico, this doesn't happen very often on Mac Stories Unwind, but I have some late breaking news, which is my backbone just showed up. I have to
Nice.
I have to go pick the package up at the leasing office of our apartment. All right, Federico, that's it for this week's episode of Mac Stories Unwind. You can find us over at macstories.net. And Federico is both on Twitter and Instagram, where he's at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next Friday, Federico.
Ciao, John.